Hey everyone, welcome back to the Quirky Mama Chronicles. I'm here with Sylvia Kellaton again. Say hi. Yeah, okay, not for that. Anyway, as you know, if you watched the previous episode, she is my emotional support skeleton because why not? Um, and today I want to talk to you about moms and self care and what self care. I don't want to say what it really looks like because it looks different for everybody, but this kind of self care that goes beyond the bubble baths and the candles and the spas, which don't get me wrong, those are all great and absolutely needed and probably something that gives us all a little bit of peace and calm. But I want to know the kind of self care that I want to talk about the self care that we don't want to talk about, the one that really digs us deep and puts us in a very uncomfortable place, which I know sounds completely backwards from what self care is supposed to be. But at the end of the day, this is the kind of self care where once we've dug deep and we've kind of scraped it all away and faced kind of that deeper, darker, uncomfortable part, we start to let it go and lighten and go about our day differently and feeling better and get in a better state emotionally because we've dealt with the uncomfortable part of it. I want to talk about that kind of self-care because we don't often label it as self-care. We label it as a mental breakdown or an emotional breakthrough, which is absolutely fine, but I think it also kind of scares people away from wanting to do it, or they're worried that they're never going to have their emotional breakthrough because they can't face, or they're worried that they can't face the darkness and the uncomfortableness that's coming from that part of it. So I kind of want to shed some light on it and why it's important and why it's not something that we should be shying away from. And I know, I know you know, and I know you know that it's something that has to be done. I just want to make it maybe a little easier for you to think about so that you can take action on it because the whole idea behind this podcast and this chronicles is, to learn that you're not alone and that there are other ways of thinking and that there are other ways of tackling things, and maybe it's not the most pleasant, but if you know someone who's gone through it or are going through it yourself and you can see that somebody has made it out the other side, you know, and if I can help, one person not have to take 10 years to get from A to B like I did or longer, um, then that's what this is all about. It's about creating this community of moms who deserve better and are here to show the world that they're going to do it and that they're going to be better. So the way that I look at it, because I don't know how many times I've hit what I thought was rock bottom, dug my way out, only to fall back down again because I hadn't actually dealt with not necessarily the root of the cause, but like the actual like big part of it. It's almost like dealing with an injury. And what we're taught is self care and is going to heal it is if we slap a band aid on it or, treat it with a little bit of disinfectant or, something like that. And it's just going to make it go away. You're going to heal and it's going to be fine. And if it's a superficial thing or, fairly shallow, not something you've been dealing with for a long time, sure, that could work. But I'm talking about the deep emotional trauma that we've gone through, whether we grew up being told we were a burden or that our worth was connected to how busy we were or how many straight A's we got or how successful we were straight out of high school or having our entire lives picked out and figured out by the time we were 16 because that's what smart kids do. Um, or just having that burden of, you know, whether you were the oldest or not, you became the one everyone came to, the one everyone relied on. Your worth was based on how orderly you kept everything and if you didn't, it's all your fault. Um, when you're dealing with stuff like that, you can't just slap a band-aid on it. You can't just put some disinfectant on it. It's like it's like a broken bone or a joint issue or something deeper, like a sickness even maybe. You have to go and treat the big part of it. You have to go and deal with it. And sometimes that means scraping away the infected skin or getting stitches or operating and literally removing something. Um Years ago, I had to get my gallbladder removed because it wasn't working properly, and I passed a gallstone, which is the most painful experience I've ever had in my life, and that's including 2 emergency C-sections to save my kids. Um, and we found out that my gallbladder was just full of gallstones. It wasn't working properly, and so they removed it. And the healing after that took a very long time. It was a fairly, I mean, it's a surgery. It's not, it's a simple one, but they're going in and they're literally removing an organ. They had to cut it away completely. I've got 4 little scars from where they made the incisions. Um, but the healing from it took a long time, like longer than you would think it should. And on top of that, we believe because we believe I had gallbladder issues for almost 2 decades. It's just it went undiagnosed. Um, it affected a whole bunch of my hormones. So not only was I healing from surgery, I was healing from the effect of the affected hormones, um, which is also a very heavy and exhausting mental load. My whole digestion was completely messed up, and that had to heal. And at the same time, I was looking after 2 kids under the age of 4 at that time. So it was a journey. But the thing is that for 2 decades, my gallbladder had been messing up my digestion. So I would just have these random pains that would last anywhere from an hour to a couple of days. I would be so bloated sometimes if I stood sideways in front of a mirror, didn't even have to stick my stomach out. It was just out. It was hard like a beach ball. And I looked 8 months pregnant and I was like 12. Um, it messed up what I ate and how I ate. In the end, it probably did it for the better, because I don't eat a lot of junk as a result. Um, but it caused moodiness, fogginess, lack of energy, a lack of confidence because I gained weight like crazy. Um, I didn't have the energy for my kids. This is before it came out because it just messed everything up. And I was just trying to treat it with the advice being given to me because nobody knew what it was, including me. So I was changing my diet. I was trying to exercise a lot. I was trying to change my sleeping habits. I was trying to do all these things that were supposed to make me better. And I was getting flack for it not making me better. Because quite honestly, it didn't matter what I ate or how many times a week I worked out. I wasn't losing weight. I was still gaining it. Because we weren't treating the actual problem of it, which was the gallbladder itself. And in the end, the only treatment was to remove it, which is terrible. You remove an actual organ. Granted, not one that is, I mean, it's not like they had to do anything with my heart or my brain, but your gallbladder helps you digest food. And if you like food, all of a sudden not being able to eat as much food or as frequently as you want, it kind of sucks. So that was the way to treat it, was by having this surgery. But in the end, having the surgery was so much better than what I had gone through before. Because once I started to heal from that surgery, the mood swings lifted. My weight just dropped. I didn't change anything. I still ate pretty much the same way. Um, I did work out for a very long time because I was healing and I had had an emergency C-section less than a year before at that point. Um, but I started to feel better and I started to feel more energetic and I started to feel like I could keep up with my kids and I didn't feel like a zombie anymore. And I wasn't just half there going through the motions. But it took time. It was a year before I kind of felt kind of normal, like I could take on a few things. And it was a few more years before I even felt like I could start working out regularly again and upping my weights and things like that. And I had to go through my own self care and stuff like that, telling myself it's going to be okay and telling myself it's for the better, and doing things to keep me feeling better. Um, because even though having the surgery was so much better, I now had to deal with the fact that I needed help, and I sometimes didn't even get the chance to ask for it, which, technically isn't a problem, but I just felt guilty with all the help that people were offering me. Um, I felt guilty that I couldn't be there for my kids as much as I wanted at that time. It was a very difficult several months. Um, my oldest had just turned 4, I think, or he was a little under 4 still, and my youngest wasn't even a year old yet. So I needed so much help. And I had to be okay with that. And I had to heal. And that was my self-care. That people coming in and helping me and not holding it against me, and me learning that it was okay after going through this surgery and basically discovering who I was after feeling like a zombie for nearly 2 decades. That was my self care. And it wasn't easy, and it hurt, and it took a lot. But in the end, it's exactly what I needed. And it was better than the alternative of just suffering through with the gallbladder issue for the rest of my life. So, yeah, it was hard. And I hit bottom so many times, but I got better as a result of it. That's the kind of self-care we have to be more open to. We have to be willing to deal with the limitations that we have and why, and not allow them to run our life, but to accept that either we change, even if the change is hard, or we accept that this is our thing now. So I want to make it easier for you in that, yeah, it's going to be a journey that you're going to go on, and it's going to be tough, and there are going to be times where you're going to wonder if you're actually going to get better and if this is the right thing for you. And I can promise you it absolutely is. Maybe you have to try something else. Maybe you have to take it slower. Maybe you just got to think about it for a little bit. But if what's pulling you to the other side is better than what you're going through now, and you know that it's going to be amazing in the end, you got to keep going through it. You have to deal with it so that it doesn't keep coming back to haunt you. Whatever your thing is, whether it's a limiting belief about your worth, or it's a habit that you're doing every day that's keeping you back, or it's something you're afraid of, once you face it, and it's not going to be overnight, it could be a couple of weeks, it could be a couple of months, but once you get over it, if that's what's holding you back, you're going to feel so much better once you get through it. It's just going to be hard for a little while. And that needs to be understood, and that needs to be normal, and that needs to be recognized. It's not going to be overnight. There's nothing wrong with you if it takes a long time, and you're worth it. You are worth going through that if it's going to make your life better on the other side. So I want you to keep that in mind. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.